get self-determination and be free. Ramaphosa says South Africa stand side by side with the Saharawi people in their quest to free themselves from occupation by Morocco.
Well, he met with his Saharawi counterpart, Brahim Ghali, who is on a working visit to South Africa.
Testimony of Western Sahara occupation by Morocco. Saharawi people live in the desert. They were forcefully removed from their land. And to make matters worse, the AU and UN failed to implement resolutions to end the occupation of Western Sahara. Discussing this long-standing conflict, the two leaders agreed that much is needed to end the suffering of the Saharawi people.
The suffering that the people of Saharawi are going through now in refugee camps will be sufficient evidence that indeed this colonization should come to an end, because it is an affront to us as the people of Africa that we should in this day and age still have one country within the African continent that does not have self-determination, that is not independent.
President Ghali called South Africa their second home and thanked President Ramaphosa and his government for supporting Western Sahara.
The independent Saharawi Republic relies so much on the advanced experience of South Africa in the fields of economy and industry, as well as in all other fields. This is why our current visit is yet another pillar in the historic relations of fraternity, friendship, and cooperation between our two countries.
Ghali lambasted the failure of Morocco to decolonize their country and the violation of the African Union Constitutive Act, a law that disallows colonizing another country. Ghali says the Kingdom of Morocco has to abide with the AU Constitutive Act.
The Saharawi Republic is a founding member of the African Union and is there to remain. The attempts now by the Moroccan is to undermine the African Union efforts and to cause partition.
The recent voting at the AU clearly showed the division between Anglo-Saxon and Francophone states, with most voting in favor of Morocco, including Nigeria. South Africa and Botswana abstained.
For us as South Africa, we've always known that our own freedom and own independence will not be complete without the Saharawi Republic also having self-determination and being independent.
Terrorism and extremism were condemned. The leaders also called on the reform of multilateral institutions such as the United Nations Security Council. With the next AU meeting taking place in Mauritania, there's renewed hope that the plight of the people of Western Sahara will be dealt with. Lehana Tsotetsi, SABC News, Pretoria.
Ebrahim Deen is a researcher at the Afro-Middle East Centre, AMEC, and he is a frequent media commentator on political events in the Middle East, North Africa region, and has written extensively on the Polisario Front and the politics of the Saharawi Republic. He now joins us via Skype. Ebrahim, thank you so much for joining us on The Globe on SABC News. Now, let's speak about South Africa's president stating that, he believes that self-determination of Western Saharawi and the Sahrawi people will be reached at some point in time. What's your take on this?
I mean, I think while laudable as a goal and laudable as a foreign policy objective, it seems as if things are moving the other way. So, last year we saw Morocco, for example, re-enter the African Union. Without recognizing the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. We see France and the US, that stance on Western Sahara converging. So we see increasingly South Africa and Algeria being isolated internationally and not having the power to implement these decisions. And so I think it's a very laudable foreign policy objective to see the independence referendum for, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Western Sahara. But unless and until things change on an international level, it's unlikely to be realized. I mean, we just saw last week, the Sahrawi President Brahim Ghali calling for a reopening of the UN Security Council process on Western Sahara. It shows how it's become dormant over the past 15, 20 years since the death of Baker.
Why do you think there's a slow process, or nothing much has been done, especially on the UN security policy with regards to Morocco, and of Morocco not seemingly to take the African Union seriously in terms of their concerns of the crisis that the people of Sahrawi are going through?
I think the big thing with the Moroccan position is, Morocco, in terms of the monarch, it sees the Sahrawi or the Sahara itself as something that's an existential threat. But I think what makes Morocco so emboldened is the fact that, in the past 15, 20 years, it before was relied on its relations with France and Spain. It's now being able to leverage its relations with West African states, your Gabon, your Cote d'Ivoire. All of them have become very supportive of the Moroccan stance on Western Sahara. And this has meant that, even within the African Union, just last year before Morocco acceded, there was a list of 28 countries that said that the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic should be expelled. And so it's this, this division within the Union, specifically because of political and economic reasons, that's actually allowing countries like Morocco to play this a role in the continental body and in the continent.
Why do you think that politics, security, it's stated there in the clip, our reporter stating the fact that there's the Anglophone and the Francophone division, or seemingly a fight going on within the African Union or the African states in terms of support for Morocco and against the Sahrawi people? What needs to be done going forward to ensure that there is an understanding within the AU and collaborative effort to ensure that the people of Western Sahara are given self-determination, independence from Morocco, and Morocco adheres to the AU's resolution and constitution?
I think what first needs to happen is the African Union needs to start putting itself back into the process of negotiating a solution to the Sahrawi issue. It's now deferred to the UN, and unfortunately the UN has veto powers and wielding powers that are very supportive of Morocco's position. So the African Union needs to start playing a bigger role. Right now, it's only a body that basically just issues declarations calling for the UN, from time to time every year to allow for a referendum for Western Sahara. So I think the African Union needs to start playing a bigger role. And especially now that Morocco is in, maybe it can actually use this to bind Morocco. And I think what we do need to start looking at is we need to look at the different solutions that can be happened, especially in the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. So we need to start looking at whether, independence is achievable, whether autonomy should be a better option, whether it should be what they call a Solomon solution, which is a division solution. Because, unfortunately, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic and many of the Sahrawi issues is now become a regional issue, a Morocco-Algeria issue. And also, Morocco has been able to successfully create what they call facts on the ground. And so these new realities need to actually inform us in how we start looking at a solution that will allow for the Sahrawi to have as much say as is possible, and a solution that will allow for them to be able to start living their lives as opposed to being under occupation or being under siege by a Moroccan military.
Ebrahim, unfortunately, we have run out of time. We'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Ebrahim Deen of AMEC joining us there and giving us an update on the latest developments with the president of Western Sahara, who was here in South Africa on a state visit. Time now for a quick break. More news when we return.